Who would have thought that a deep-cut Voyager episode would deliver one of the Doctor's and Starfleet Academy's most emotional moments? Episode 8 of Starfleet Academy, The Life of the Stars, feels like a return to form after last week's slower episode. And it may be not just one of the show's most ambitious episodes, but one of the most emotional stories Star Trek has ever told. We also continue to deal with the fallout of the events of the Miyazaki and see Terima return, only to have been switched from the War College to Starfleet Academy. Ake also enlists Discovery's Tilly to help the cadets deal with their trauma through a Star Trek tradition, theatre. However, when it is revealed that Sam is still glitching, a trip to her homeworld of Kask with the Doctor and Ake leads to a moment of confrontation for the Doctor, and then an emotional reveal of what it means to have lived for hundreds of years. In this video, I'm breaking down what happened in The Life of the Stars, what worked, what didn't, and what I hope to see next. When Starfleet Academy was announced, it was assumed that Tilly would be a central member of the cast. The Discovery episode, All Is Possible, seemed like it would be a backdoor pilot for an Academy series. Instead, it was announced that Tilly would be a guest star in only one episode. 8 episodes into our first season, we have that episode. And for fans of Tilly, it is a welcome return. Wiseman slips back into her role like she never left and seamlessly slots into the world of Starfleet Academy. Tilly seems much more self-assured while still having the quirky humour that she was known for in Discovery. Brought back to help our cadets, in particular Terima, process their trauma, it is surprising that they approach this through the medium of theatre. However, considering Star Trek is a show that has Data doing poetry readings for the crew and the Doctor performing opera, it feels entirely fitting. In fact, in our world, the real world, drama therapy is used to help individuals reconnect with their bodies and their minds, and you can see this is exactly what Tilly is trying to achieve. You know what, in fact, come to think of it, considering how chaotic the life of a Starfleet officer is, whether it's being merged with a crewmate in a transporter accident, or thinking you're dead because you've somehow been cloaked, or you've been flung through time to pivotal moments in history, it's no wonder there are so many recitals and performances on Starfleet vessels. Whilst all are affected, it is Terima who is particularly affected, as not only is she processing what happened to her personally during the events of the Miyazaki, she also has been transferred to the Academy against her will. This strains her relationship with Caleb, who is desperately trying to reconnect with her. There are some particularly powerful moments with Terima and the other cadets, such as one with Sam where she manages to break down her walls and make Terima laugh, only for Sam to ask if this is the first time she had laughed since the Miyazaki. There is also a touching moment between Terima and Genesis, but the most powerful moment happens between Tilly and Terima. Tilly challenges her over and over to analyze her assigned character from the play Our Town in order to help her relate back to her own trauma. And after storming out of the class, she eventually rejoins the other cadets, seemingly more at peace with herself. Also, I want to give a massive shout out to Starfleet Academy for normalizing what consent should look like, when a drunk Terima tries to get it on with a very sober Caleb. Take note, everyone. In the Star Trek Voyager episode Real Life, the Doctor creates a perfect hollow family. After introducing them to Kes and B'Elanna, the latter pushes back on how easy the Doctor has made it for himself, and she makes some changes to make the program more realistic. This unfortunately results in the death of his daughter, Belle, a trauma he tries to avoid but is eventually encouraged to confront. In The Life of Stars, we discover that the reason the Doctor has been distant with the cadets and the crew is that being emotionally distant and refusing to form attachments is his way of dealing with the loss of everyone he has cared about over the centuries, whether that is Belle or the crews of Voyager and the Protostar. And Sam reminds him of Belle, which made him so reluctant to form any bond with her. Robert Picardo delivers a powerful performance throughout this episode, and especially in his reveal of why he acts the way he does with others. With Sam malfunctioning, she is taken back to Cask, where the Makers reveal that she is unable to be repaired. We discover that her processors can't process trauma, as she was created as a 17-year-old without the experience of growing up, therefore being robbed of the chance to create the resilience that we all do as we experience difficulties in our lives. What follows is the Doctor giving up 17 years on Cask, just the equivalent of 2 weeks off planet. This is a plot device also seen and referenced in the previous Voyager episode, Blink of an Eye. He helps raise a new version of Sam, but with the memories of the previous 200 odd days. This time though, she will develop that resilience that will make her able to deal with trauma in the future. After revealing his pain over losing his hollow daughter Belle, seeing the Doctor raise Sam as his own is emotionally really powerful and brings them together beautifully. After last week's episode, this is a true return to form, and everyone in the cast, in particular Robert Picardo, Mary Wiseman, and Karis Brooks, deliver fantastic performances. What lets this episode down, though, is the performances of others. For example, Tarima's emotional intensity at times occasionally tips into melodrama. And once again, I was disappointed with set design. Now, last week, we had generic alien planet or Timu Vulcan. This week, Cask turns out to be Starfleet Academy. Look, I understand the in-episode reason that is given by the photonics, but I would have loved to have seen something otherworldly. But it feels like between this episode and the last one, they're just trying to preserve their budget. I really enjoyed this episode overall. The idea of using theatre for therapy, whilst a bit goofy, is actually grounded in real psychological principles, so it works for me. Tilly coming back to lead this class is just perfect. However, it is the performances of Robert Picardo and Karis Brooks that really elevate this episode from ambitious to well executed. Their interactions together really showed how cold the Doctor has been in keeping his distance and how that affected Sam, who felt like she never had a mentor. And whilst it feels like the journey to Cask is supposed to be the B story in this episode, it actually feels stronger than the main story. Now, with only a couple of episodes left of this season, I'm really hoping we finally get dedicated time with Genesis to understand what drives her, though at this point I'm not entirely confident that we will. So there we have it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you want to join the discussion, you will need to be subscribed, which also helps push me towards that 1,000 subscriber goal I have. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.